Hello. This week's story is about a dragon. It's not quite the dinosaur that my friends Sebastian and Horatio have asked for, but then were dinosaurs and dragons one and the same thing, maybe? Let's see. Once upon a time, there was a village. It was called Lower Hamilton. This village doesn't exist anymore, and this is the story as to why. Lower Hamilton was a small farming village in the bottom of a valley in Rutland. A long time ago, before there were tractors and machinery, everybody had to help looking after the animals, the sheep and the cattle and the pigs, and help gathering the grass and the hay in for the winter, and they grew wheat to make bread. But everybody had to help. One beautiful summer's day, the whole village, men, women, children, young and old, were all out in the field, cutting the grass and gathering all the hay in, ready for the winter. They were out with their scythes, cutting it by hand. Everyone was helping. It was quite good fun. Everyone was enjoying it. It was hard work, but they all had fun and they all enjoyed it. As the day wore on, a dark shadow flew over the villagers. They looked up, wondering what this big black shadow was. It looked like a really big bird. They wondered what it was. It flew and circled around them and came back in again. They realised as it turned towards them that it was a dragon. What was a dragon doing in their village? They realised it was going to come in and it was going to burn all their grass, so they ran as fast as they could to get away from the flames. And then it came and it went whoa with all its flames. And all the grass that they gathered for their winter feed was gone. And as it left the valley, it picked up one of their sheep and took it with them. The villagers were so scared. They'd never seen a dragon before. And it had taken their grass and burned their grass and it had taken their sheep. What were they going to do? A wise woman from the village said, we need to appease this dragon. If we don't do something about this dragon, we're not going to survive. It's going to eat all our animals and burn all our food and we'll not have anything to eat. We've got to do something to stop it. We can't just run away. That night, there was a village meeting. All the villagers got together. It was quite a heated meeting. There was lots of discussion as to how they were going to sort this dragon out. There was lots of people going, let's go to its lair and kill it. We can do that. There was other people saying, well, let's just give it all our sheep and our cattle and our pigs. That'll be fine. We'll be all right. But eventually, they're going to run out of sheep and cattle and pigs. What are they going to start feeding it then? None of these things were going to resolve the problem once and for all. One young man stood up and said, I have an idea. If we dammed the end of our valley where the river comes through and we built a dam so that the valley would fill up with water, we could make it into a lake. Then we could lure the dragon in because dragons cannot swim and it will drown in the lake. And the lake would then give us a water source that would be really useful for our village. We could move the village up the hill and make another village further up the hill away from the lake's edge. The villagers talked about this for a long time and then they voted on it. And it was decided that actually this idea was a really, really good idea. They slept on it and the next morning they set to work damming the end of the river in the lake, end of the valley. They cut down trees, they found lots of rocks and stones, they packed it with mud. It took them several weeks to build it. Every day they had to leave an animal out to appease the dragon that flew over their valley every single day, scaring everybody. But if they left an animal out, it would take the animal and it would fly off and it wouldn't burn any more houses or crops or anything. So they lost a few animals, but in the meantime they were building this dam. It built up, the river was stopped, and it started to fill the valley. They moved the village up the side of the hill and called the new village Hambleton. The summer rains came, filling up the lake, and it filled up and up and up, until one day there was just a small island left. They left a couple of cattle on that island, ready to lure in the dragon to see whether their plan would work. All the villagers hid up on the side of the valley, behind the trees and the bushes, to see whether this dragon will come and be lured in to get these cattle. As the day wore on, the black shape appeared on the horizon above their new-built dam. It flew in. They could see the orange glow in its nostrils as the flames come ready to come out. It shrieked as it saw the two cattle on the island, and it flew in. The cattle looked up and they ran into the water with a huge splash. The dragon landed, followed the cattle in, and there was lots of shrieking and mooing and bubbling and hissing as the cattle and the dragons disappeared below the water. There was just bubbles and ripples, and then silence. Nothing reappeared. No dragon, no cows, no nothing as the water settled. The villagers looked at one another, and then they cheered and they shouted and they celebrated and they threw a massive party, because now they had a new village. The lake became abundant with fish and wild birds. There was water for themselves and their animals. It could water their crops. It was such a brilliant idea. And they got rid of the dragon. Every now and again, there would be a big splash, or there'd be some odd ripples on the lake. And the villagers would look at one another and go, I think that is the Rutland dragon.